Welcome back. You have hopefully just finished the first episode looking at the base Barbarian. Here, we're going to start going into the archetypes for the Barbarian. The first three being the Ancestral Guardian, the Battlerager, and the Beserker. Pay close attention for our opinions.
Okay, so moving on to the archetypes. First one, going in alphabetical order, Ancestral Guardian. You have a bunch of ancestor spirits who are just like, "Woo, we will protect you." Starting at third level, when you attack someone, you can make your ghost go, "Hey, over here," which makes it so that when the attacker hits anything but you, they have disadvantage, and when they hit anything but you, your allies have resistance to all damage.
Yeah.
That is
it's
juicy.
sick. The thing is, I think it's pretty good, but the thing is, you don't have anything to supplement the added attention that you're getting. So personally, I think it's good, but it depends on how well you play the character.
Yeah.
As in like tactics, or how high of a constitution you have. Because when you're getting all the attention, you've got all the attention. If you go down, then what's the point?
I actually like that ability, and I like the drawback it gives as well, because it means it makes you a bit gives you a flaw, gives you something to worry about. I personally
Screw that. I want to be strong. I want to be big man strong.
Yeah.
Punch thing.
How long does the extra attention last? For how long does the effect last?
Until your rage ends.
So while you're
you
raging,
can end it on your own, I think.
Yeah, it's the first creature you hit with an attack on your turn becomes affected until the start of your next turn.
So you can only really have one extra bit of attention.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
If it's one really big baddie.
If it is one really big baddie, then you want to be taking all the hits anyway, because the squishy wizard in the back is going to die.
Yeah, but you'll die even quicker.
No. No, you won't.
That's your job. No.
That's why the cleric's there.
Yeah.
Don't tread the Coramist.
Honestly, though, I really like that ability, and the drawback isn't much of a drawback if you play your cards right.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel it's a weird one, because Ancestral Protectors, I immediately pictured defense for you. But instead, it's more of a taunt. It's kind of a drawing attention and more of a defense for your allies. I think we see that more through the archetype as well. But I was very much expecting a self-buff or self-defense, but that's not what we're getting here.
Yeah. It is literally just don't hit my friends.
Yeah.
You get nothing but that. I think it's a bit under. Like, you need to play your cards right in order to do well in it.
But at the same time, it works really well for the Barbarian archetype you've mentioned earlier, where you want to run into the back lines and cut out any range, because you're forcing the opponents to aim at the wall instead of aim at your allies.
But you're not really so much of a wall. I'm comparing all of this to Totem Warrior, which we will get to.
Yeah.
You're less of a wall and more of a brick. You're still hard to break, but a lot easier.
No, I like this ability, and depending on the party composition, this could get really out of hand for a DM that isn't experienced in building encounters.
Okay.
I like it, and I think this is going to be the archetype I am eyeing when I'm making my big squishy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very much fitting into that.
Well, you're going to absolutely love the next one. Starting at level 6, Spirit Shield. Whenever you are raging and a creature within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to reduce that damage by 2d6, which increases at 10th level and 14th level.
Yeah. And that isn't like a once a day
love
thing.
that.
That's just constant. It's your reaction, isn't it?
Every turn, just reducing your allies' damage as well. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
That is a
I
brilliant ability.
really like it. In terms of fitting the rest of the theme, it definitely supports the protecting your allies whilst staying up front. It does get rid of your reaction, which as a barbarian, you might not use too much, but if you're like, it's going to negate any possible attack of opportunity that you want to make, which means that you can't as easily keep people with you.
But I mean,
Yeah.
that's what your first ability is for anyways. What's the point of moving out of the barbarian's reach just to hit over the squishy wizard if the squishy wizard has resistance to all the damage and also you have disadvantage to attack the squishy wizard?
Yeah.
You're going to want to stay with the barbarian anyway because that barbarian is taking the damage.
Yeah, but the barbarian has resistance as well, but far more hit points. The wizard would be easier to hit, potentially even with the disadvantage, and will have fewer hit points, but the same resistance.
It
So
depends on it depends on the party composition and also a little bit what kind of creature you're fighting. Because if you're fighting a intelligent creature, the creature is gonna know to stay out of the barbarian's way. But if you're fighting against something with intelligence of like 4, fight the barbarian. Great idea.
Yeah.
Hit the first thing in front of you.
All down to what it is you are fighting. Also, damage types. It depends on what damage types the creature relies on. Because if you're fighting a fire elemental, why would it run away from the barbarian that takes all the damage just to hit a wizard that takes half the damage?
This is true.
I mean, it like you guys arguing over that, it shows that it really brings in some strategy instead of just running in and whacking. You actually have to think a bit, which is hard for the barbarian, but
this is usually true.
It does bring in the nice question of, should I reduce that by 3d6 or should I attempt to hit the guy while they're running away?
Yeah.
Some of the
whether you're gonna be
subclasses are extremely brain dead. This one does bring in a nice bit of strategy.
Yes.
If you're looking for that, obviously.
Yeah.
I also think it's a nice step away from the archetypes in the official handbook. This is the first archetype in Xenophal's Guide, and it has definitely given the barbarian more to think about.
Yeah.
I feel like with martial classes compared to spellcasters, the issue is the spellcasters have a lot more variety of choice on their turns. The martial class, sometimes, depending on how you're playing anyway, it can just be I do the same things I did last turn, which is roll to attack, roll damage, that's my turn. Same thing next turn. That can sometimes be the thing. And bringing in something like this, where you've got more decisions to make, more you can be doing, I think that's very fun.
Yeah, especially using the reaction.
Yeah.
Although I will point out, spellcasters can also fall into a similar trend of doing the same thing over and over again. Looking at no class in particular, Warlock.
Yeah.
Eldritch Blast.
Yeah.
Sorry, had to clear our throats collectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to the 10th level, Consult the Spirit.
Yes.
Basically, you can cast Augury and Clairvoyance without using a spell slot or material component. You can only do it once per short rest or long rest. But yeah, and with Clairvoyance, one of your little ancestors appears instead of the little lucky orb that you cast. I mean, both Augury and Clairvoyance both require money, which if you're strapped for cash, this is absolutely amazing since you don't need material components. You don't need to splash the cash.
Yeah.
You can set up that creepy little eye sensor whenever you want.
Yeah.
I would
In
also
terms
like
of
to point out those are really fun spells that I think, personally, get underused. Augury especially. It's a fun divination spell, maybe not very useful, but very thematic. And giving it to the Barbarian, well, that's just very neat.
Yeah, and they can actually cast spells.
yes, which is the thing that I think, because this ability sold me on this archetype, especially if I were to be a DM to a player playing this. It's the line, rather than creating a spherical sensor, this use of clairvoyance invisibly summons one of your ancestral spirits. To me, that is a great opportunity for character development. Like, it kind of suggests that you can create more backstory, create family history, get invested in your character. As a DM in that situation, if the Ancestral Guardian Barbarian said, I'm casting clairvoyance, I would say, which ancestor do you summon?
Uncle Joe, check the women's bathroom.
Exactly. I think it creates some more personality, some more character to your character.
Yeah, it definitely helps the Barbarian on that front. I love this ability. It gives the Barbarian far more flavor and almost wisdom.
Yeah.
Like, if you're
Yeah.
playing this character, you're playing with wisdom.
The only thing I would say against it is it's more like I'm not too keen on spell augury. Because one time, in another campaign we were playing with, I and my team had to try to get a bunch of hostages out of a cave and into, like, out of their prison and into freedom. I asked to cast a spell augury, and it was an absolutely insane plan. How would the DM know how it was going to go?
Yeah. It's,
It
I feel like
takes
augury,
prediction.
yeah, it's, augury is basically just asking DM, what do you think? And then the DM either has to give their opinion on how successful they think it's going to be, or, I mean, one way you could do it is the DM, if they give a prediction one way or another, they could alter things slightly more in favor of that outcome to be more predictive of the future. But
That feels cheaty.
yeah, that's the only way that you could really reinforce your prediction. But
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I do that pretty much every session. I alter events and certain things the NPCs might do to accommodate for the random principle of you guys.
My opinion of you has dropped significantly.
I mean,
Hey,
it couldn't
do you
get
enjoy
much
my
lower.
campaign? Do you enjoy my campaigns or not?
Moving on to the next. Moving
Rude.
on.
Perfect.
Vengeful Ancestors. Yeah, we do enjoy a campaign. Igor, don't worry. Vengeful Ancestors. At 14th level, your ancestral spirits grow powerful enough to retaliate. When you use the spirit shield to reduce the damage of an attack, the attacker takes the amount of force damage equal to the damage that your spirit shield prevents. Retaliation. Who doesn't love that?
Yeah.
That is a very neat ability, and I am sold on the Ancestral Guardian for my big softy character.
Like, that's potentially 4d6 on a reaction.
Yeah. It's
Not to
also
mention,
abilities like this that I quite like because it builds on something you've already got and it develops it more so that you feel like that's more of an option to be doing because it's better now.
It improves the... Well, it makes your thought process more complex, which I absolutely love.
also, I'd like to point out, it makes the Barbarian archetype far more flashy. It brings it up to speed to some of the flashier abilities of the spellcasters. And being the last ability of the archetype, that's kind of what I expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, force damage, as opposed to... It's introducing a new damage type that the Barbarian probably normally wouldn't have. Barbarian's quite limited in the damage types they can deal due to whatever weapon they're using. But adding force damage just gives a bit of extra versatility to the class.
How common is resistance to force damage as well?
I don't know a creature with it.
No. I can think of some that have like vulnerability, or that just have resistance to everything but force damage, like I think the Shadow does. But can't think of any with resistance.
Yeah, it's a solid damage type. It's lovely to have.
Also,
well done, Ancestral Guardian.
Yeah.
just I know force damage. There's a little bit of a debate going on that force damage might affect creatures on the ethereal plane.
Ooh.
Why?
Because the spell Magic Missile, the description is that the bolts are made out of magical force. Creatures on the ethereal plane can only be affected by creatures also on that plane, or by things created out of magical force, like a wall of force or magic missile. There's not much clarity, but because I think personally it's thematic, for my games, I'd allow it that force damage deals damage to creatures on an ethereal plane. If you can somehow make it target that creature whilst it's in the ethereal plane, which is very difficult. It's very difficult, but if you can pull it off with an area of effect attack, or if you can just see the ethereal plane and Eldritch Blast it,
Yeah.
I would allow that.
Reminds me of a thing in Total War Warhammer. One of the dwarves, the dwarf lords that you can play, has what's his name? Belgar Ironhammer. He has Ancestral Guardians that you start with that do a similar thing to this. It's like the ancestors of his old dwarven ancestors, and they help him. Yeah, just a fun little
Okay,
thing.
before we continue, ancestors for my big softie. I think it would be really, really sweet if his ancestor was his mother.
Oh, yeah. A reason as to why they're now protecting everyone else.
Yes. And I have fallen in love with this character. I want to play him in my next campaign. I'm not playing Rakman, screw it. Big softie.
Yes.
Ooh, okay. What's the next one on the list?
Moving on, we are going to the path of the Battlerager.
Battlerager.
Which is interesting in the fact that only dwarves are able to be in this subclass.
Oh, is this the one from Sword Coast Adventures Guide?
Possibly. Your DM can lift a restriction to better suit the campaign, but for Forgotten Realms, it's pretty set in place. Only dwarves can be the Battlragers. Yeah. Which I think it's nice they've put that in, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that is charismatic of Sword Coast Adventure Guide archetypes to have restrictions like this in place. I think there's an archetype for fighters that does a similar thing. The Blade Singer. Ring any bells?
Is that only elves?
That is only elves.
Yeah, I think I might have heard of that.
Well, what does this path do? Bailey, go ahead and enlighten us.
Yeah, so this path of the Battlerager, focuses specifically on spiked armor, which is a medium armor, AC 14 plus your dexterity, maximum of 2. Gives disadvantage on stealth checks. Usually made by dwarves. The first ability here at level 3, while you're wearing spiked armor and are raging, you can use a bonus action to make one melee weapon attack with your armor spikes at a target within 5 feet. If it hits, it's 1d4 piercing damage. I'm guessing that's plus your strength. Additionally, when you use the attack action to grapple a creature, the target takes 3 piercing damage if your grapple check succeeds. I don't know about this.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I like the idea, but we'll get onto the Beserker Barbarian after this. But the Beserker Barbarian can just do better with their own weapon. This is making a bonus action attack for 1d4 plus your strength damage.
Yeah, that doesn't seem worth it.
No.
I
Compared
mean,
to making a full extra attack.
depending on how bad your stats are, you might have better armor class if you're wearing armor like this.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not too keen on the idea of spiked armor for a barbarian. I mean, it seems unyieldy, running around like an urchin. It seems very unyieldy in a lot of situations.
Yeah. I like the target taking 3 piercing damage if you try to grapple them and succeeded. But I feel like that should just be a feature of the armor. I feel like that's a thing anyone should be able to do if they've put spikes into their armor. I don't feel like this really adds anything that the barbarian could really use compared to another class.
It doesn't really bring us into like any specific archetype that someone would want to enter either. I mean, like, you get to do a bit more damage as a bonus action, and grapples do a bit of damage. That doesn't scream, this is a character defining, like, this is going to shape my character, this is what my character lives upon.
I feel like this, if you make a Path of the Battlerager, you're probably only ever making one. You're not going to choose this archetype again, because the character will be the same. There's not a great deal of
flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's just, how do I put it? It's a bit basic. Like
cluster.
We just covered the Ancestral Guardian, and it provided a lot more choices, a lot more things you want to do. It was a bit flashier. This is very mechanics based and just trying to up the DPS.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad in a lot of senses, but this isn't really upping DPS, it's just moving it up a smidge.
Yeah.
It's
not
it's very bad at the job it's trying to do, and it's not a job we necessarily need to doing for the barbarian especially.
Yeah. I think I put in my notes here. Fun and enhances the barbarian a bit, but it feels kind of aimless. I feel like if you're going to focus spiked armor, make it worth it. And I don't feel like this ability right out of the gate is making it worth it.
Yeah. That sums that up.
Yeah. Anything further on the Battlerager armor?
Not really.
Okay. Well, the 6th level ability, Reckless Abandon. When you use Reckless attack while raging, you also gain temporary hit points equal to your con mod. They vanish if any of them are left when your rage ends.
I mean, at 6th level, that isn't too bad, but it does rely on you reckless attacking a lot, which means you are going to get hit a lot more, which I feel is going to be more than what average of like generally around 3 or 4.
Yeah, although you are probably resistant to the damage, maybe. So you're soaking an extra, say, 6 or 8 hit points, but you're also probably going to get hit with at least one more attack in the turn, depending on how many creatures you're fighting. That attack would probably be more than 6 or 8 damage. So it
depends
doesn't really balance out. It depends.
It depends on what you're fighting and how it fights. But I do like this ability because, like you said earlier, Bailey, it builds on something you already have.
Yeah, I like the idea of it, but again, the execution feels lackluster.
Yeah.
It gives you now reckless attack gives you advantage and temporary hit points to make up for the advantage your opponents have. Is it worth it? I wouldn't say.
No, absolutely not.
It could be if it's, I don't know. I mean, you get these every turn. So if you were going to reckless attack anyway, you might as well have some temporary hit points to soak up the damage. So maybe it doesn't entice you to use the ability more. More so makes it more efficient to use.
Yeah, but like looking back at the Ancestral Guardian in comparison, at 6th level you got Spirit Shield. You could negate 2d6 damage against one of your allies as a reaction.
Every turn. As
Every
a
turn.
reaction.
This
That
just isn't adding up.
You don't get advantage on yourself.
Yeah. It doesn't also detriment you.
That is a very good point, and honestly, I hope the Battlerager is this called? Yes.
Yeah.
I hope the Battlerager has something more to offer.
Yeah.
Well, actually, now that you're saying that, I think the 10th level really brings it all together.
Yep.
Battlerager charge. You can take the dash action as a bonus action while raging. Is that not fantastic?
It is OP, I've got to say. Just flat out needs nerfing.
My God.
Should take 2 actions to dash.
Devs, patch it out.
Yeah.
Not great. Not especially
Jesus
amazing.
Christ.
It feels thematic, getting that extra running in, the kind of chaos of the Battlerager. I like the ability, but at 10th level, that's all you get. It just doesn't feel worth it.
Hold on.
It's a sentence long, and it's not even that. Like, there's nothing wrong with it being a sentence long, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Hold up.
Hold on.
First of all, you're telling me that every other barbarian that doesn't need to wear armor for the archetype to work doesn't get to dash as a bonus action. For one archetype, for one that wears heavy ass armor with spikes, runs extra fast.
Yeah.
Not to mention, hold up, it's used as a bonus action.
Yes.
It takes away the ability. If you want to use this 10th level ability, you can't use that extra spike damage.
Yeah.
What is the point of this ability?
It's very conflicting.
Jesus.
I
Are we allowed to say
feel
Jesus?
I mean, sure.
Sure.
God's name in vain. Gonna get banned from a Christian YouTube server.
Indeed.
Oh.
We're not going to invite you to review paladins or clerics.
Nope.
I don't want to be invited, honestly.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I want to take part.
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, I mean, you're going to be here for a couple of hours. Probably doing cleric.
Oh God, covering every single cleric archetype is going to give me nightmares.
It will be a pious adventure. That's all I'm saying.
We're gonna have to come up with a more efficient system than this. I tell you.
Nope. No.
I don't think there is another way that we can do it.
No.
I mean, we've been covering the Barbarian for almost 1.5 hours now.
We've got 4 archetypes to go, guys.
We can do this. Blast through them.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that might redeem the Battlerager?
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
Spiked Retribution. When a creature within 5 feet of you hits with a melee attack, the attacker takes 3 piercing damage if you aren't raging, aren't capacitated, and are wearing spiked armor. I don't think that's awful.
If you aren't raging.
If you are raging.
Oh, if you are raging. Okay, I was about to say.
that would be bad. No. It's decent.
Yeah.
I think that's
3 guaranteed damage without a roll, without a hit.
Yeah.
A roll to hit. It's solid, but you have to wait 14 levels for that.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's not guaranteed 3 damage because it's not magical piercing, and at that level, half the things you're going to be fighting are going to be immune or resistant. So it's a guaranteed 1 damage.
Well.
Yeah. I mean, you could get your spiked armor enchanted, but I think, again, comparing it back to the Ancestral Guardian, who is doing a retribution 4d6 force damage by that level, I think.
It's so much
Yeah.
better.
And that's guaranteed if the people are getting hit.
Yeah, which
4d6.
your allies probably are getting hit as well.
Well, who cares about them?
Well, yeah.
Depending
It's
on the
about that
party
extra damage you can
composition,
pull out of them.
depending on the party composition, you're likely not going to be the only tank in the party. If
Yeah,
you're playing in a well-built party as a barbarian, you're going to have at least one other front or midliner. You're not going to have 3 squishies hiding behind the big softy.
I mean, you could do, but
You could do, and we almost have that in one of your games, but
almost.
even then, we only have 2 squishies.
Yeah.
Or
You're
if you
probably
count the
gonna have-
NPCs.
Well, yeah. God. All the NPCs. You're probably going to have a wild-shaped druid or a paladin or a fighter or someone else. There's a fair few other classes. Someone's probably going to choose one of them.
Even a cleric proficient with heavy armor.
Yeah.
Or a wizard that decided to go war school. He's going to be somewhere there.
Yeah, that's a possibility. There's a fair few options for other tanks. I don't feel like the Battlerager, it's a fun idea. I think it's interesting, but the abilities, they don't really, they tie together thematically, but they don't feel worth it.
No, they don't really gel or just make you want to use them. They're not great.
I think
don't take it, kids. Don't do Battlerager.
Yeah. I feel like the one we're about to cover, the Beserker, gets a lot of hate, but even the Beserker can probably pull off a better Barbarian than the Battlerager.
Yeah.
Rip the Battlerager.
Speaking of, Path of the Beserker.
Yeah.
So, you are even angrier than the angry.
Yeah, this is pure Barbarian.
This is, you've stubbed your toe.
That level of anger.
Yeah, fiery.
I think this is a good point to mention. I think most classes, if not all classes, have an archetype that was designed to put more of the class into the class.
I heard you like class, so I put more class in your class.
The Berserker is the Barbarian in the Barbarian.
Yeah.
You're doubling down on the basic class. And
Barbarian Mariushka dolls, or whatever you say.
Yeah.
Getting angrier as you go smaller.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So.
Rage of the Midgets. Do you think this is why so many individuals of short stature have attacked you? They're all secretly barbaric.
Well, I mean, you didn't really have to analyse them for long to know that they're barbaric. I wasn't exactly the person starting the conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first ability allows you to make an attack as a bonus action. I don't remember what the ability is called.
Frenzy.
Which,
yeah,
at third level, that is a pretty solid ability.
Yeah. Better than Battlerager.
It means you deal far more damage than you usually would at this level. Usually, you'd have to wait until 5th level to be able to make another attack. And then at 5th level, you make 3 attacks, and that's a lot of attacks.
Yeah.
It's good. A lot
of attacks.
It is only while you're raging, and you do suffer a level of exhaustion at the end, though.
There is a drawback.
Yeah, there has to be a drawback, because extra attack at level 3 is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't know what else you're going to use your bonus action for.
No.
As a barbarian.
As a barbarian, well, actually, you're not going to be able to do that on your first turn, because it takes a bonus action to rage.
Yeah.
But besides that, you are pretty much going to be getting an extra attack every turn, if you go for this archetype.
Pretty much. Yeah.
There is one thing I'd like to mention. Long term, however, this becomes a bit more risky. As you play the Barbarian longer, you're going to be getting into more fights, and thus you'll be raging more often. Those levels of
Yeah.
exhaustions will stack, and it will be a bitch.
Yeah. I feel as though this ability should have an addendum for when you reach a certain level, a higher level, it gets something extra, or that exhaustion isn't quite as potent as some kind of other detriment. Because by that point, one extra attack turn, it's good, but for disadvantage on all ability checks for the rest of the day, that's pretty rough.
And then you follow it up with half speed,
Yeah.
and then disadvantage on was it saving throws next?
Well, I mean, if you're being a Battlerager, that's not too much of a detriment. Half speed. I mean,
This
you
is
can dash
true.
as a bonus action.
By 10th level, you can dash as a bonus action.
Okay, but for the Beserker, half speed is a detriment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those exhaustion levels, those are going to be a pain to get rid of.
Yeah.
Although, at the same time, if you're rage for your 6th time or 7th time that day, and suffer that last level of exhaustion, that could be a very heartfelt moment. He frenzied so that we could live on.
He died doing what he loved. Going absolutely crazy.
Yeah, but the thing is, the last level of exhaustion is 0 movement.
No.
Like, you cannot move. So I'd be surprised if it was that emotional, considering you've just got a very angry person standing in one place waiting for people to approach them.
Well, that's the last one.
Last level of
the last
exhaustion.
one.
The last level of exhaustion is instant death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one before that, I believe, is not moving.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He's just gonna rage, standing still, swinging an axe at everything.
Yeah.
Yes. Put him on like a wheel cart.
This does bring in a good point. I heard somewhere a little addendum, you might say, that when you rage, you ignore the effects of exhaustion. That could be a way of going around, all the detriments.
Yeah.
Or just put the Barbarian on a horse.
That is true.
Horse Barbarian!
Yes.
Never even thought about that, actually. Yeah, get him that feat, the mounted combatant.
Ooh.
Oh!
Who cares if he's at fifth level exhaustion?
Yeah.
Also,
Can't move, no problem.
Feats. Polearm Master, Sentinel.
Yeah. That is. Ooh.
As a Barbarian, I feel that'd be good.
Yeah.
Especially Ancestral Guardian. I'm thinking I'm slightly biased right now.
Out of the ones we've looked at so far, by which I mean Ancestral Guardian and Battlerager, the former is far better.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we haven't touched on the best one yet, which we will.
We haven't.
Oh no. Please don't.
It cannot be stopped.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, for the Berserker at 6th level, Mindless Rage. You cannot be charmed or frightened while raging, and if you are already charmed or frightened while raging, just rage to ignore it.
Yeah.
That is kind of what I meant. It would be at this point that it would be good to add. You also ignore the effects of exhaustion whilst you rage.
Yeah. I think this ability is great, and I love it, but I feel as though this ability could just go into the general Barbarian.
Yeah.
I feel as though it's versatile enough and not specific enough to Berserker. I mean, thematically, it kind of
does, because Berserker is you forget about everything and you are just attacking. You have one purpose.
Yeah, there is
Being
a
mindless is very like if you're spirit guardians, the idea that you are completely mindless and you cannot think at all while you're raging, I don't think that's very thematic. So I don't think it could be, maybe in a different context, but I don't think a mindless rage could be implemented into the general barbarian class. Personally, anyway.
Yeah.
there's a fine line between rage and frenzy. The frenzy barbarian, the berserker barbarian, his frenzy is more mindless than just a simple barbarian's rage, and that is
Advanced
why
rage.
I think Ancestral Guardians is so good. It means it gives more flavor to the rage than just being angry.
Okay.
I'm thinking back to Big Softy, all
Yeah,
his anger coming.
you're really hung up on Ancestral
Yeah.
Guardians.
I am. It is the best archetype we've covered so far, and also Big Softy. Ooh, big character. Okay.
Okay, at 10th
Okay.
level, we have Intimidating Presence. Bailey, would you like to run us through?
Yes. So it's an action. You choose one creature within 30 feet of you. If it can see or hear you, it makes a wisdom saving throw, which the DC is based on your charisma modifier. If it fails, it is frightened until the end of your next turn of you. On subsequent turns, you use an action to extend the duration. If it succeeds, it's immune for 1 day, 24 hours.
Yeah.
Fun fact, the Polish book has all the stuff in meters. So
Oh,
it's 9 meters or 30 feet, depending on which version of a book you're using.
Wow.
that's nice.
I kind of wish the English one had it in meters, but whatever.
Well, it's them damn Americans.
Yeah.
It is them damn Americans. I'm now forced to get used to what feet look like.
You don't have any?
I don't. I have stumps. You know this. I'm so self-conscious.
Bailey, stop triggering him.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Anyways, on Intimidating Presence.
Yeah.
If you've got one person who you want to stay away, it's solid.
Yeah.
This is the way to do it. Also,
I
do you have to rage in order to use the ability?
no.
There we go then. A very good ability. Also, I
Yeah.
like how it uses your charisma. Because if you want to really double down on this ability, you could make a character that's super charismatic, really easy to talk to, really persuasive out of combat, and then they rage and frenzy, and
Yeah.
it's so jarring for anyone they interact with on a regular basis. I love this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it, but I feel as though this is the kind of thing I'd want to use mid-fight, but you can't really do that. It takes your action on one target, and you need to use your action every turn to maintain it.
Yeah.
That I don't like.
It does what it does amazingly,
Yeah.
but it kind of, I don't know, it could have gone a bit further in how much it can be used.
Yeah.
Because it's very, not very circumstantial, it's pretty circumstantial.
Yeah. I feel as though if you made it more like the, which is it? The Oath of Conquest, Paladins, like one action, every creature of your choice within 30 feet, but you only get to use it once a day.
Yeah.
And it's like they make a save every turn for 1 minute or something. I feel as though that I would use more, because I can start off the fight with it by running in, activating that, and raging on the same turn. And then next turn I can get into actually fighting.
The fact it is just one creature is really crippling.
Yeah.
I think it's designed the way it is because it's specifically supposed to not be used in combat. I see this used. Yes, but
That's the point.
See,
Yeah.
this is what I mean. I think this was an early attempt by Wizards of the Coast to put more flavor into the Barbarian and have the Barbarian have a bit more to do outside of combat.
Yeah.
I can see
But I
this
feel
being
it,
used to, with some charisma rolls, to scare a god away so that you can enter a building unnoticed, technically.
But
Or
you could
something
do that
along
with
those
a
lines.
solid intimidation check.
yeah, I feel like just an intimidation check serves that purpose. This is like
It's a
more for
weak
the mechanics
attempt.
of being frightened.
It's a weak attempt, but I feel that was an attempt that was made to put some flavor into the Barbarian.
Yeah, it's solid. It does what it does, but it's just not versatile enough.
God damn, that creature is staying away.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I
But
Oh,
even
okay.
if it is running away, once it's 60 feet away, it's fine.
yeah,
And you can't use it for another 24 hours.
that's another important thing. If it's more than 60 feet away from you, I believe the effect just ends. Although I think you
no, wait,
can
it's only when
reuse
it
it.
succeeds on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it can just leave and then end the effect.
There's work to be done, but
Yeah.
it's not necessarily awful as compared
No.
to uh,
Yep.
Battlerager. So
Battlerager.
Yeah. I do like that, although it only targets one creature, that creature doesn't get to make a saving throw after the initial save.
that is a neat addition.
Yeah.
It's a consistent, you are scared of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I do like. It somewhat redeems it. I say
Not
redeems.
really.
It's, yeah, I don't know. It's a nice
More
idea,
uses. More
but
useful.
again, you're not going to be using it.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Okay.
Let's take a look at level 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Starting at 14th level, retaliation. So when you get damage from a creature that's within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against that creature.
Oh,
Or
yes.
1.5 meters if you're using the Polish one.
Shut up, Pole. No one wants your meters.
I'm just a sad Pole.
Oh,
Okay, no. Visibility, I like it.
yeah.
It's short to the point, and it means you're going to be getting an extra attack in per round.
Yeah. More damage, more to time. That's what you want from a
Yeah.
frenzy.
It's thematic as well. Like, the retaliation is you're lashing out in response to being hurt. Someone is hitting you, so instinctually, as part of your mindless frenzy, you're swinging back. And I feel like that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to mention, it gives you a use of your reaction,
Yes.
Yeah.
which normally would go to opportunity attacks. But
Yeah.
I feel, unless you're going to go for the Sentinel feat, in this case, just having an extra attack is good. As long as
Yeah.
something hits you, you get an extra attack. It's more opportunities for attacks.
Yeah.
And what is an opportunity attack? It is an extra attack. You're basically guaranteeing that you're going to have something adjacent to an opportunity attack in that turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this ability, and I think the Berserker definitely gets far more hate than it deserves.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not awful.
No.
It's not the best.
It's not Battlerager
It's not.
level.
Don't you
No.
dare mention it, Igor. It's not to that level,
Yeah.
but it's not awful.
No.
Yeah.
And
If you say
actually,
big softy one more time,
No,
I will
no,
break quarantine. I swear to God.
I was going to say it's not Battlerager levels of bad.
oh, poor Battlerager.
But Battlerager is an awful archetype, and
Yeah.
I will never forgive it.
Oh. I did just want to say, with retaliation, you mentioned Sentinel, Igor. I think there's amazing synergy with Sentinel here. If you have Sentinel and retaliation, because Sentinel gives you some stuff on opportunity attacks, but if a creature within 5 feet of you that is your ally is hit, you get to make an attack against the aggressor. And this ability is, if you're hit, you get to make an attack against the aggressor. So as long as you
Oh,
and another tank are up front, you can just make attacks all the time. Doesn't matter
Does
who
that
they're
not
hitting.
use a reaction?
It does, but I'm saying no matter who they're attacking, you get to make an attack.
Okay.
that is a good point, and
Yeah.
that's a really nice way of just making sure that reaction is goddamn used. You are using that reaction, aren't you?
Yeah. You are going to get to make an attack, no matter who they're hitting. All the murder.
That technically means you could land a solid 4 attacks per turn, which is competing with the fighter.
Yeah. This is true.
And
In
you get
fact-
resistance to full damage.
In fact, I think this is slightly better than the fighter because fighter you don't get that 4th attack until 20th level. This is 14th level. You can make 4 attacks per turn. Granted, fighter does have action surge,
Yeah.
but at the same time, with your extra rage damage, it averages out to the Barbarian's favor, I'd say.
This is definitely possible.
Indeed.
Yeah. But I think Beserker, it's pretty good.
Yeah. It's not the pinnacle,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be overlooked if you're wanting to choose one.
Yeah. Some tweaks would need to be made, I think.
I'd say talk to DM about that exhaustion.
Yeah.
Especially at high levels, anyway. I think low level is probably fine, makes sense. But high levels, that's going to be rough.
Yeah. At around 6th level, I'd introduce a little quote. You ignore exhaustion whilst you rage, and I'd leave it at that, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something along those lines, I think, would solve the issue.
There are ways of getting rid of exhaustion without resting, right?
Yes.
Are there?
But I think it's like Greater Restoration, which is a 5th level spell. So,
I mean, if you're playing that high of a level and your party really, really needs you to not be exhausted,
yeah.
you could do that.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. That has been the first 3 of the archetypes of the Barbarian. You are not finished. There is still more to go. Just one more episode. And then however many more after that. But the Barbarian will end, hopefully, after this next one. So make sure to listen in. Thank you. Keep listening.